Welcome back, travelers, and as you can see, we are doing War of the Spark once again. Now, this time, we're finally going to find out the juicy details of Bolas' plan. Let's see what's inside. Chapter 27, Dak Fade. Picking up right where we left off, Dak Fade is on top of a roof. He's looking down, and he sees Domri Raid running towards Bolas. And he's like, that does not seem like a good idea. And using his magic, he's able to kind of just like listen in on what Domri is doing. Hey, Dragon! I'm Domri Ray, champion and master of all the Gruul clans. You and I should be talking, mate. How about I swear allegiance to you and yours? We'll burn Ravnica to the ground. Bolas's only response to that is basically to trigger his big spell, the Elderspell, a magnificent display of his hideous power. Instantaneously, one of the Lazotep guards goes up to Domri. Well, I'll just describe how it's messed up. I can just say it, like the Lazotep warriors, they surround him, and it says, the helmed warrior reached not simply into Domri's chest, but into his very soul, harvesting a bright core of mana that Dax somehow knew was Raid's spark. The part of him that made him a planeswalker. The part of him that made him Domri Raid. Domri begged for mercy in a whisper that echoed in the Thieves' ears. What follows is basically Domri Raid getting drained of all moisture and life, and just, he's reduced to a husk, and he is so messed up, which makes sense since he is, like, he was dumb. He was really dumb. If you see somebody who's evil and is obviously evil and like reveling in their evilness, then you should probably not try to team up with them. Especially if they're like already winning, they have no need for you. And so Dak basically decides, I don't want to die like that. And that is actually the end of Act 1. Act 28, Nicol Bolas. It's literally just Bolas patting himself on the back, like with both hands. He's like, I did a good job. I mean, this is, he just talks about how I will be a god, twirly, 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 and there's nothing else there. 29, Kaya. This is a really, really disappointing moment in this chapter. First off, everybody was kind of called to assemble all the planeswalkers, but we get introduced to a new planeswalker. A large Viashino with lime green skin materialized right in front of them, surrounded by the distinct gold aura of a planeswalker. He had just enough time to hiss, "What is this?" before a female Eternal grabbed him from behind and just ripped out his soul. We get introduced to a brand new red planeswalker who instantaneously dies. You may have seen my video about red planeswalkers. This one didn't even like... he just dies like nothing. He's just slaughtered. And like, why? Why do that? A Viashino. We don't have a Viashino. That would be so cool. It'd be so cool to see a Viashino planeswalker. It'd be like a dinosaur planeswalker. Chapter 30, Jace Bellerin. So Jace has basically assembled the Avengers. I mean, the planeswalker. And it's cool because the way he did it was basically using the Karn's magnifying ability to be able to tell where people are. As far as like what their sparks are, he was able to send the message out through that, so that the psychic link would summon them all to this location. So there's a bunch of planeswalkers. There's a bunch of new ones that are kind of freaking out. 4-armed ones, some teenage ones, all sorts of stuff. And Jason, Gideon, and Karn and everybody, they're just trying to like corral everybody and save everybody. So Jace decides, you know what? I need to get to the Senate House. I need to get there so that we can actually try and figure this thing out and fix how these things are going. It is worth noting there are two different areas for the Azorius that are very important. You have the Senate House itself, and then you have New Prov. New Prov is where the Immortal Sun is being kept. But at Senate House, that's where Asperia is. And, well, the statue of Asperia, the statue that Asperia became is there. And so that's where they're all meeting. Much like earlier, we are now getting another recap of the guilds. So this is important. We have, of course, the Azet League with Ral represented there. Kaya, of course, represents the Orzhov. Vorel, who was one of the Simic people working alongside Teo and everybody, is of the Hull clad, I believe. And he's working with the Simic. He is the Simic representative. at the summit. But that means that they have a summit guy now, so that's pretty great. Obviously, the Boros have Aurelia there because the Boros are already on, like, we're gonna fight them. We're gonna do it. We gotta do what we gotta do. Demir most likely is there, according to Rel, obviously, because Lazav must be somewhere around there hiding. The Cult of Rakdos, the Golgari Swarm, and the Gruul clans, all three do not have anyone there, primarily because the people who would be there either left or are dead. Then, of course, Selesnians are holed up in their place because they're afraid of everything else trying to kill them and think it's best to just try and hunker down. Of course, then there's the Azorius, where they're meeting the Senate, but Dovin Baan is still the leader. Dovin Baan is the only one out of all the 5 planeswalkers in the prior set, in the prior Ravnican sets, to still be under Bolas' control, to still be working with Bolas. I'm really hoping that we get more into that as far as the prequel chapters of the Gathering Storm go, because Dovin Baan seems to be very calm and collected throughout most of the story, and I feel like we're going to get something good out of that. Also, of course, there's the fact that they have Lavinia. Lavinia is technically Azorius, even though she renounced her allegiance to the guild, but because of the fact that she is basically the best detective they got, she kind of still fits into that role. Chapter 32, Gideon Jura. So Gideon and Jace, which are blue and white, not respectively, but the two of them are there in the Azorius Senate. It makes sense that these two guys are the leaders, obviously, because blue and white are the colors of law and order. You have the law of the white, and you have the order of the blue. And they work together so well, and while Jace is the idea guy, Gideon is the charismatic guy. Gideon is the guy that's going to try and get all these different planeswalkers to work together. So with all these characters here, we get a lot of opportunities for name dropping and kind of just references to characters. For instance, right here, there were Jaya, Karn, Samut, Kiora, Tamio, Sahili, Rai, Kaya, Rosrek, the Archer Vivian Reed, and the new kid Teova Reda. And then the demon man, Ob Nixilis. Ob Nixilis is there. Ob Nixilis had Ob, for short, had already basically said he was going to kill the Gatewatch because they annoyed him. And he's there. He's like, yeah, I guess I gotta help you guys out because if I don't, I'm trapped here and I'm going to die. So he goes to Narset, a former Ojatai monk, Huatli, the warrior poet of Ixalan, Lithomancer Nahiri, basically just going through all the different characters. There is a moment where they talk about Mu Yan Ling and Zhang Yangu, who, of course, you know that Mu is going to be in the new core set, which I'm super excited about. She looks really cool and is much better than her core set than her dual deck form. But it mentions that she's from a plane, the plane of mountains and seas, and that Zhang's dog Mao is with them. And he says, "How did you cross the blind eternities with a dog? He's a magic dog." Zhang said with a shrug, as if that explained everything. And then, "He's made of rock," Mu offered. That's literally Mu's only line in this entire book. He's made of rock. As if that, like, explains everything. You got Angrat talking to Arlen. He's like, Arlen's a werewolf. So here we have the game plan kind of set up. It's this, like, big moment. Gideon, Jace, they're ready. They're going to figure it out. Gideon is there. He's ready to just kind of give them what they need to know. So, let's see. Well, first problem. The Azet's beacon luring planeswalkers still. They're still showing up. And I believe one shows up. Yeah. A old man with turquoise eyes and carefully trimmed white beard. He kind of just shows up. The Immortal Sun, which all the planeswalkers can agree is a terrible thing to have in existence because it's stopping them. Angrath just wants to blow it up. But everybody else is like, well, maybe we just need to turn it off. That's all we need to do is make sure it's off. If we can get it to turn off, then it's going to work out. Jace has a plan and everything. He's going to figure it out. Third one, the planar bridge itself. Obviously, the Eternals keep coming out of the planar bridge. If they can shut that thing off, then they won't have to worry about any extra Eternals coming through. Of course, the thing is, they would have to turn it off from the other side, which if obviously they can't planeswalk to Amonkhet to try and stop that. So the only way to get to it is through it. Fourth thing, of course, Liliana. They have to take care of Liliana. She's controlling the Eternals. They got to kill her. It makes sense. These are all things that are systematically going to dismantle Bolas' plan. Jace is like, okay, so the fifth thing, we got to stop Bolas. Do the other four, we're golden. Gideon chimes in. Actually, we got 6. We also need to protect people that are dying. Because if we don't do that, they're going to be dead. What's the point of saving all these people if it didn't amount to anything, if this place is still destroyed? And just like, okay, yeah, 6, that makes sense. And then Ralzarek's like, there's 7! We gotta get the guilds together. We got some, but we need all of them together so that we can get the Living Guild back in order. Everybody's kind of like, me, because obviously not all these plans sound like they're gonna work. Actually, all of them sound like they could fail, like, just fantastically. But Ralzarek is basically like, okay, look, we need to do this, we need to get all these things done. Let's do it. Forel asks, what is the name of your plan? And he's like, it's Operation Desperation, because it's literally the last-ditch effort. And if it doesn't work, then things could go pretty terribly for everybody. But everybody eventually agrees this is what we have to do. We have to get all the guilds in order. We have to get all these different characters and all these different planeswalkers to go to their particular locations, do their missions, and then we will be able to beat Bolas. And they're like, how? And Gideon's like, I got the Black Blade. It's a pointy stick, and I'm going to stick them with it. And it's their best move. There are 6 different things they need to do. Obviously, tossing out the Bolas one because the Bolas one will come after the other 6 are done. He says 6 missions, 6 challenges. We need volunteers now. And that's how this particular chapter ends, with the different planeswalkers forming up so they can do their thing. And I'm loving these chunks much more than having to go through the book, through chapter by chapter, because there's more things to do with this particular method. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see what we can do about these other chunks. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, travel well.